Have you ever asked yourself why someone you loved so deeply suddenly disappeared from your life? Why that relationship you prayed for, fought for, and held on to so tightly had to end? This message is not here by coincidence. If you are watching this right now, it is because God Himself has aligned this moment perfectly for you. You, the chosen one, need to hear this today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. I know your heart has been heavy. You've replayed memories over and over, wondering what you did wrong, wondering if you should have tried harder. But let me tell you the truth with full authority. God removed that person, your ex, your old lover, not to hurt you, but to protect you. There were things you could not see, dangers hidden behind what looked like love. This removal was divine, and when you fully understand it, your pain will transform into power. Stay with me until the very end of this message, because it will open your eyes and change your life. If you feel this message is already speaking to your spirit, comment 777-333-999 or 444 right now as a sign of alignment. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell icon, and share this video with someone who needs it. This moment is your confirmation, chosen one. God is doing something greater than you can imagine, and it begins with this truth you are about to receive. The divine removal. Chosen one, listen closely. There are moments in life when God Himself steps in and takes someone out of your path, and no matter how much you fight it, no matter how much you pray for that person to stay, they are gone. It feels like your heart has been torn apart. You can't understand why the person you loved with every piece of you suddenly isn't there anymore. You cry, you plead, you ask God, why would you let this happen to me? Why would you take them away when all I wanted was to love them? But here is the truth you must know today. God sees far beyond what you can see. He hears conversations you were never meant to hear. He knows intentions that were never revealed to you. He sees the spiritual battles happening in the background that you are unaware of. That person who walked away, or was removed, was part of a plan you couldn't fully understand at the time. What you saw as love, God saw as danger. What you thought was a blessing, God recognized as a trap that could destroy your destiny. When God removes someone, it is never without reason. Think of a skilled surgeon holding a scalpel. The cut hurts. It bleeds. It feels violent and cruel in the moment. But the surgeon knows there is poison, infection, or a tumor inside that must be removed for you to survive. If it stays, it will spread and kill you from the inside out. That is what God did when He removed your ex. The relationship may have felt good at times. It may have felt safe, familiar, and even necessary. But beneath the surface, there were toxins that would have infected your spirit, your purpose, and your future. God knows your destiny, chosen one. He has plans for you that are so much greater than your current vision. This is why He cannot allow certain people to stay in your life. It is not because He wants to punish you, but because He loves you too much to let you settle for less than His divine will. Some people are only meant to be part of your journey for a season. They were never meant to walk with you into your calling. Their assignment in your life was temporary, and when that time was up, God stepped in and closed the door, even if you tried to keep it open. Think about how many times you prayed for clarity. Deep down, you may have sensed something wasn't right. Perhaps there were red flags you chose to ignore because your heart wanted to believe in their potential. You told yourself, if I just love them enough, they will change. But God doesn't need you to play savior. You are not responsible for fixing anyone's soul. Sometimes the most loving thing God can do for you is to remove you from a person before they break you beyond repair. Many relationships carry more than just emotions. They carry spiritual baggage. When you connect with someone, it is not just physical or emotional, it is spiritual. There are unseen ties, bonds that link your spirit to theirs. If that person is battling demons, Those demons will fight to latch onto you as well. If they are walking in darkness, that darkness will try to overshadow your light. And as a chosen one, your light is a threat to the kingdom of darkness. The enemy will often send people into your life disguised as love, as comfort, as companionship, when in reality, they are there to sabotage your purpose. This is why divine removal is so crucial. God doesn't just take people out of your life randomly. He is strategically protecting you from battles you cannot fight alone. There are times when staying in a certain relationship would have derailed everything He has planned for you. You might have lost your sense of identity, your faith, your joy, or even your calling. Imagine a tree that is being pruned by a gardener. The gardener sees branches that are diseased or dying. They may still look green on the outside, but inside they are rotting. The gardener cuts them off, not to harm the tree, but to allow it to grow stronger and bear more fruit. At first, the tree feels the pain of loss, but over time the tree thrives because the bad branches were removed. That is exactly how God works in your life. What feels like a painful loss today is actually the beginning of your growth. Some of you were in relationships where you felt drained, confused, or constantly on edge. There was no peace. Even when things seemed good, there was always an underlying tension. That was your spirit warning you. That was God whispering, "This is not where you belong." But because you loved them, you stayed. You convinced yourself that things would get better. So, God did what you couldn't do. He removed them completely. He closed the door so tightly that no amount of knocking or begging could reopen it. At first, you felt abandoned. You thought you were being punished. But over time, you will see that God's no was the greatest form of love He could show you. He didn't just save you from heartbreak, He saved your destiny. There are people who, if allowed to stay, would have delayed your purpose by years. Some would have drained your spirit until you no longer had the strength to walk in your calling. Others would have completely destroyed your faith. God saw this coming and He acted. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and thank Him. You will see that the relationship you cried over was a stepping stone, not a final destination. It was part of your preparation, not your promise. Chosen one, your future is too valuable to be compromised by a person who is not aligned with God's plan. When He removes someone, it is because He is preparing to bring someone better, not just a partner, but a divine connection. This person will not pull you away from your purpose, but push you deeper into it. They will not bring confusion, but clarity. They will not drain you, but help you grow. Until that time comes, trust the process. Trust that God's hand is guiding every step, even when it feels painful. Remember, divine removal is never rejection. It is redirection. It is protection. It is preparation. And though your heart may ache now, your future will thank you. So, release the need to understand every detail. Let go of the questions and the what-ifs. Instead, rest in the truth that your Creator loves you too much to let you walk blindly into destruction. This breakup, this loss, was the very thing that saved you. One day, you will see it clearly. For now, walk forward in faith, knowing that what lies ahead is far greater than anything you left behind. Understanding the role of an ex in your spiritual journey, chosen one. Every person who enters your life serves a purpose, even the ones who hurt you. Your ex was not a mistake. They were a chapter in your story, a teacher in disguise, and part of the divine process that shapes who you are becoming. Sometimes we view breakups only through the lens of loss and pain, but if you look deeper, you'll see that even heartbreak carries hidden blessings and profound lessons. You see, relationships are mirrors. They reflect back to us the parts of ourselves we may not be aware of. When you were with that person, you weren't just experiencing love, comfort, or companionship. You were also encountering parts of your soul that needed healing. God often uses relationships to reveal what is broken within us, what needs to be surrendered, and what must be strengthened. Think about it. There were moments in that relationship where you felt joy, but there were also moments of conflict, misunderstanding, and disappointment. Those moments weren't meant to break you down completely, but to show you what you needed to grow. Maybe you learned how to set boundaries. Maybe you discovered your worth after being treated less than you deserve. Maybe you realized that love is not supposed to be constant chaos and confusion. These revelations are spiritual gifts disguised as painful experiences. Some relationships are what we call karmic or temporary connections. They are not meant to last forever, but they come with a lesson that pushes you closer to your true path. Imagine them like a teacher who walks into your life, gives you the exact lesson you need, and then leaves when the class is over. If the teacher stayed forever, you would never move on to the next stage of growth. Your ex was that kind of teacher. They showed up to awaken something in you, to test your strength, and to prepare you for the next level of your life. Sometimes these lessons are about love and trust. Other times, they are about recognizing your own patterns, why you attract certain people, why you tolerate certain behaviors, or why you struggle to let go. These revelations are crucial for a chosen one, because your heart must be whole and clear for the divine assignments ahead of you. If you are bound by unhealed wounds, you will carry that pain into your future relationships and into your purpose, where it can cause even greater harm. There are seasons when God allows you to experience certain relationships to refine you. You may have asked, "Lord, why would you let me fall in love with someone if they weren't meant to stay?" And his answer is this: because through that love, you learned who you truly are. You learned how deep your heart goes. You learned the kind of partner you never want again. You learned to discern between superficial attraction and genuine spiritual connection. Without that experience, you would not be ready for the person who is truly meant for you. Chosen one, your ex also played a role in your spiritual warfare. Not every relationship is simply about romance. Some people are sent into your life as distractions, even as spiritual attacks. The enemy knows that if he cannot stop you through external circumstances, he will try to stop you through your heart. If he can tie you to the wrong person, he can delay your destiny. But here is the good news. Even what the enemy meant for harm, God will use for your good. That painful relationship you went through will ultimately become part of your testimony. When you finally meet the person who is divinely aligned with your spirit, you will recognize them because of what you endured before. You will see the difference between real love and counterfeit love. You will understand why God said no to the one you thought was the one. Your ex helped you develop spiritual discernment. Without that lesson, you might have missed your true blessing when it arrived. It's important to remember that just because a relationship ended doesn't mean it was a waste of time. Nothing is wasted in God's plan. Every tear you cried, every moment of confusion, every night you stayed awake wondering why it had to happen, all of it is part of your spiritual growth. Even the pain has purpose. You may not see it clearly right now, but as you continue to heal and move forward, the puzzle pieces will begin to fit together. This is why it's so important not to hold on to bitterness or resentment. When you view your ex as simply an enemy or a mistake, you miss the deeper lesson. Forgiveness is not about excusing their behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of the past so you can fully step into your future. If you keep replaying old hurts, you remain spiritually tied to a season God has already closed. Your ex was part of your preparation. They were there to help shape you into the person you are now becoming. Their exit is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter where you walk in greater wisdom, strength, and clarity. Thank God for the lessons, even when they came wrapped in pain. Thank Him for the clarity, even when it came through heartbreak. Chosen one, you must understand this. The role of your ex was never to complete you. That person was there to reveal you to yourself. They were a mirror, a teacher, a test, and finally, a stepping stone. Now, it is time to step forward into the life God has planned for you, knowing that every experience, good or bad, has been used to prepare you for something greater. One day, you will look back and see that everything truly happened for a reason. Until then, trust that the same God who allowed that relationship for a season also ended it at the perfect moment. Trust that He is leading you toward a future filled with love, peace, and purpose, beyond anything you've ever known. The signs: it was God's hand. Chosen one. One of the hardest things after a breakup is understanding why it happened. When your heart is broken, confusion floods your mind. You replay conversations, you analyze every little detail. You wonder if you said the wrong thing or could have done something different to keep that person in your life. But when God's hand is involved, there are clear signs, undeniable evidence that it wasn't just a random ending or a simple misunderstanding. It was divine intervention. The first sign is sudden exposure of truth. When a relationship ends by God's will, hidden things will come to light that you never could have discovered on your own. You might find out about lies, deceit, or actions that were taking place behind your back. Maybe you stumbled across a message, overheard a conversation, or had someone unexpectedly reveal information to you. This isn't coincidence. This is God shining His light on what was hidden so you can no longer be deceived. God knows that as a chosen one, you cannot afford to be blind. If you were to stay in darkness, you would be walking toward destruction. So He reveals the truth suddenly and undeniably so that you are forced to see things clearly. The second sign is inner discomfort that never went away. Deep down, you probably felt uneasy in that relationship for a long time. Even in moments of happiness, there was always a whisper inside of you saying, "Something isn't right." That inner voice was the Holy Spirit warning you. Sometimes, as humans, we ignore that nudge because we love someone and we want to believe the best about them. But over time, the uneasiness grows louder. You start to feel drained instead of uplifted. You start to feel anxious instead of at peace. That lack of peace is a sign that God was speaking to you all along. The third sign is repeated blockages and conflicts that seem to come out of nowhere. When a relationship is ordained by God, there is a sense of flow. Challenges may come, but they are overcome with unity and grace. When a relationship is not meant for you, it feels like constant resistance. There are endless misunderstandings, endless arguments, and endless obstacles that never seem to resolve. It's as if every time you take one step forward, you're pushed 2 steps back. That isn't love working against you. It's divine protection. God creates roadblocks to keep you from going deeper into something that isn't part of His plan. Sometimes this even shows up as people around you warning you or expressing concerns about your relationship. Maybe your friends, family, or even strangers notice things you didn't. When multiple voices speak truth and you find yourself defending the relationship over and over, that's another sign. God often sends confirmation through others because He knows we don't always listen to our own inner voice. Another sign is unexpected clarity after the breakup. In the middle of the relationship, you might have been in a fog. Love has a way of clouding judgment, making it hard to see clearly. But once the person is gone, your mind feels lighter. It's as if a veil has been lifted and suddenly everything makes sense. You start to see red flags you missed before. You remember situations that didn't add up. You feel relief mixed with sadness. That clarity is God's way of showing you, "My child, this was never meant to last." A powerful sign that God was involved is unexplainable peace, even in heartbreak. At first, the pain feels unbearable. You cry, you question, you grieve. But then, out of nowhere, you feel a calmness that you can't explain. It doesn't mean you stop hurting immediately, but there's an underlying knowing that somehow everything is going to be okay. This peace doesn't come from your own strength. It comes directly from God. It's His way of reassuring you that His plan is unfolding exactly as it should. For some of you, God gave repeated warnings through dreams or signs before the breakup happened. Maybe you had strange dreams that revealed truths about your partner. Maybe you kept seeing certain numbers, like 777 or 333. Or you kept hearing messages that resonated deeply with your situation. These weren't random. They were spiritual warnings preparing you for what was coming. If this resonates with you, comment 777 below as a sign of alignment and faith that you received those divine messages loud and clear. There are also moments when the breakup seems too perfectly timed to be random. Maybe you were about to make a huge life decision involving that person, moving in together, getting married, starting a business, and suddenly, the relationship ended before you could take that step. At the time, it felt devastating. But later, you realized that if you had gone through with those plans, it would have been catastrophic for your life. God's timing is flawless. He ended it at the exact moment it needed to end to protect you from a future disaster you couldn't see. Sometimes, the sign comes through their behavior after the breakup. When someone is truly meant for you, they will fight to stay in your life. When they aren't, they will either disappear completely or reveal a side of themselves that shocks you. Maybe they became cold, distant, or even cruel. It hurts to see, but it's actually a blessing. God allowed their true character to be revealed so you could fully let go without confusion. And finally, one of the clearest signs is divine redirection. After the relationship ended, certain doors in your life may have started opening unexpectedly. Maybe you received a new job opportunity, found new friends who uplifted you, or discovered passions you had neglected. That's because God was clearing space for blessings that couldn't come while you were connected to the wrong person. It's like a room that's been too cluttered. You can't bring in new furniture until the old is removed. Chosen one, when you look back with open eyes, you will see that the breakup wasn't random at all. It was carefully orchestrated by a loving Father who saw what you couldn't. Each sign was a piece of a bigger puzzle. The exposure of truth, the inner warnings, the roadblocks, the timing, the clarity, the peace, all of these were God's fingerprints on your situation. This is why it's so important to trust Him, even when you don't understand. At first, it may feel like you've lost everything, but in reality, you've been saved from something that could have destroyed you. And as you move forward, those same signs will serve as reminders that God is always working behind the scenes, protecting you and guiding you toward the life He created you to live. So, instead of questioning why it happened, start thanking Him for the protection. What feels like rejection today is actually divine redirection. And one day soon, you will look back and say, "Now I see exactly why it had to happen that way." The hidden dangers of staying chosen. 1. There is a reason God removed that person from your life, even when you didn't want them to go. If you had stayed, the very thing you were praying for, love, peace, happiness, would have been destroyed piece by piece. Sometimes, the greatest danger in a relationship isn't what you see, but what you can't see. What feels comfortable and familiar can secretly be the very thing pulling you away from your purpose and your destiny. When you are deeply connected to someone, you share more than just time and memories. There is an exchange of energy and spirit. If that person carries darkness, fear, anger, or hidden wounds they refuse to heal, that weight transfers to you. The wrong relationship doesn't just slow you down, it can spiritually poison you. This is why God steps in to remove certain people, because the cost of staying is too high. One of the hidden dangers of staying is losing your identity. At first, you might not even notice it happening. You start compromising little things, your boundaries, your values, your goals. Maybe you stop spending time on your passions because you are too busy trying to keep the relationship afloat. Maybe you silence your voice to keep the peace, or you begin to question your own worth because of how you are treated. Over time, you become a version of yourself you don't even recognize. The enemy loves this because if he can erase your sense of self, he can keep you from walking in your divine calling. Another danger is delayed destiny. When you are tied to the wrong person, they can block opportunities meant for you. Imagine standing at a door that God is trying to open, but you are carrying someone who was never meant to go through it with you. Their presence alone can keep that door closed. They may not intentionally sabotage you, but because they are not aligned with your purpose, their energy creates resistance. You might miss career opportunities, spiritual breakthroughs, or divine connections simply because you are holding on to someone who doesn't belong in your future. There is also spiritual warfare at play. As a chosen one, your life is a constant battle between light and darkness. The enemy knows that if he can't destroy you directly, he will try to distract you. And what better distraction than someone you love? The enemy will often send people into your life who look like a blessing but are actually designed to pull you off course. These relationships often start beautifully. They seem perfect, almost too good to be true. But over time, you begin to notice patterns of confusion, chaos, and pain. That's not love. That's spiritual warfare disguised as romance. Staying in a relationship like that opens the door for manipulation and control. When you love someone, you naturally want to please them. But a person operating in darkness can twist that love to control you. They may use guilt, fear, or even silence to keep you under their influence. You find yourself making decisions based on what will keep them happy instead of what aligns with God's will. Slowly, you become a prisoner, trapped not by physical chains but by emotional and spiritual ones. Another danger of staying is stunted growth. Some people are so afraid of change that they will hold you back just to keep you on their level. Maybe you are starting to grow spiritually, to dream bigger, to step into your purpose, and suddenly they discouraged you. They belittled your ideas or made you feel guilty for wanting more. Their fear of growth became your cage. If you had stayed, you would have continued shrinking to fit into their comfort zone. Consider how many chosen ones throughout history faced delays because of attachments to the wrong people. There are countless stories of people who had great potential but never fulfilled it because they stayed tied to relationships that drained them. This is why God takes it so seriously. He knows that your purpose is not just about you. It impacts countless others who need your light, your message, your gifts. If you stay bound to someone who isn't meant for you, it's not just your life at risk, it's everyone connected to your calling. Staying can also invite generational curses into your life. Some relationships carry the weight of family patterns and unresolved trauma. If the person you are with has not dealt with their own pain, that pain will spill into your relationship and potentially into your future children. You might find yourself repeating cycles of dysfunction that you swore you'd never allow. By staying, you aren't just risking your heart, you are risking the future of your entire lineage. One of the most dangerous aspects of staying is spiritual numbness. Over time, the constant drama and negativity can dull your spiritual senses. You stop hearing God's voice clearly because you are so consumed with trying to fix the relationship. You stop praying with passion. You stop believing for better. The fire within you begins to fade until all that remains is exhaustion. This is exactly what the enemy wants. A chosen one too tired to fight, too discouraged to keep walking in faith. Think of it like a house with a gas leak. At first, you might not smell it strongly. You go about your day thinking everything is fine. But slowly, the toxic fumes fill the air until it becomes deadly. That's what staying in the wrong relationship does. It might not seem dangerous at first, but over time, it destroys you from the inside out. Chosen one, this is why God's intervention is so vital. He sees the dangers you cannot see. He knows what staying would cost you. Your identity, your purpose, your peace, even your life. While you were crying over losing that person, God was rejoicing because He saved you from a future filled with pain. It's not easy to walk away, especially when your heart is still attached. But you must understand that love without alignment is a trap. Real love does not require you to lose yourself. Real love does not isolate you from God. Real love does not bring constant chaos and confusion. If those things were present, it wasn't true love, it was bondage. When God removes someone, it's because He has something far better ahead. By letting go, you are making room for divine connections, for relationships that will lift you higher instead of pulling you down. You are choosing freedom over bondage, purpose over pain, destiny over delay. So, the next time you find yourself tempted to go back, remember the hidden dangers of staying. Remember that what feels safe today could destroy you tomorrow. Trust that God's hand is guiding you, even when it feels like loss. His protection is never punishment. It is preparation for the abundant life He has promised you. Walking away is hard, but staying could cost you everything. Let go and let God lead you to the future He has designed specifically for you. Healing and acceptance. Chosen. 1. Healing is a journey, not a single moment. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen just because time passes. Healing requires intention. It requires surrender. It requires you to release the pain you've been holding on to and allow God to do what only He can do. If you've been carrying the weight of heartbreak, confusion, and betrayal, this is the season to lay it all down. The first step toward healing is acknowledgement. Too often we try to pretend we are fine. We put on a strong face for the world, but inside our heart is still bleeding. Denial only delays the process. You must be honest with yourself and with God about how deeply it hurt. Tell Him about the nights you cried, the anger you felt, the questions you still carry. God already knows, but speaking it out to Him is an act of release. It's you saying, "Lord, I can't do this alone. I need you to help me heal." Once you've acknowledged the pain, the next step is forgiveness. This is one of the hardest parts, but also the most freeing. Forgiveness is not about excusing what the other person did. It doesn't mean they were right or that what they did was okay. Forgiveness is about breaking the chains that keep you tied to that hurt. As long as you hold on to bitterness, you remain spiritually connected to the very thing God has delivered you from. When you forgive, you aren't saying, "What you did is okay." You are saying, "I refuse to let what you did control me any longer." Forgiving yourself is just as important. Many chosen ones blame themselves for the breakup. You might replay every moment, wondering what you could have done differently. But hear me clearly. You are not defined by the mistakes of your past. You were learning, growing, and doing the best you could with the knowledge you had at the time. Release the guilt. Release the shame. God's grace covers it all. The next stage of healing is detachment. When you've been deeply connected to someone, there is a spiritual tie that lingers even after the relationship ends. This is what we often refer to as a soul tie. Breaking it requires intentional action. Spend time in prayer and meditation, asking God to sever any unhealthy connections between your spirit and theirs. Speak life over yourself. Declare that you are free, that your heart and mind belong to God alone. Fasting and spiritual discipline can also play a powerful role here. When you fast, you are not just abstaining from food. You are creating space for God to move more deeply in your life. It clears the spiritual clutter and strengthens your discernment. During this time, avoid revisiting old conversations, pictures, or memories that keep you stuck in the past. The more you focus on your future, the faster the old ties will begin to fade. Another key part of healing is self-restoration. While you were in that relationship, you may have lost parts of yourself. Now is the time to rediscover who you are outside of anyone else's influence. What brings you joy? What dreams have you set aside? What gifts has God placed inside you that you've been neglecting? Start nurturing yourself again. Invest in your passions, your purpose, and your spiritual growth. This is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about becoming whole for yourself and for the calling God has placed on your life. Acceptance is the final step in this process. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop caring or that you forget the person entirely. It means you have reached a place of peace with what happened. It means you no longer need answers to every question. You no longer wrestle with the what-ifs or try to rewrite the past. Acceptance is standing firm in the belief that everything happened exactly as it was supposed to. Chosen one. Acceptance is a sign of spiritual maturity. It's you saying, "Lord, I trust your plan, even when I don't understand it." When you accept, you shift your focus from what was lost to what is ahead. You begin to see the breakup not as a punishment, but as preparation. You realize that God's no was actually His greatest protection. During this time, surround yourself with positive influences. Spend time with people who uplift you, who remind you of your worth, and who encourage your spiritual growth. Avoid toxic voices that drag you back into bitterness or doubt. The people around you can either help you heal or keep you stuck. Choose wisely. Finally, as you heal, don't be afraid to share your story. Your pain has purpose. There are others who are walking through similar heartbreak, and your testimony can bring them hope. When you speak about what you've overcome, you not only strengthen others, but you also reinforce your own healing. Remember this: God is close to the brokenhearted. He has been with you through every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of despair. Healing is His gift to you. All you have to do is receive it. Chosen one, as you release the past and embrace healing, you are stepping into a new season, a season of clarity, strength, and divine alignment. Trust the process, trust God's timing, and know that what is coming will be far greater than anything you've left behind. Preparing for the future God has for you, chosen one. Now that you have walked through the pain of loss and begun the process of healing, it is time to turn your focus forward. God did not remove that person from your life just to leave you empty. His plan for you is far greater than what you lost, and He is preparing to lead you into a season of abundance, purpose, and divine alignment. But before you step into that future, there are things you must do to prepare yourself spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. The first step is trusting God's timing. This may sound simple, but it is one of the most challenging things you will ever do. When your heart still longs for love or companionship, it's easy to want to rush ahead. You might feel ready to jump into a new relationship or take control of your path. But rushing ahead can lead to the same mistakes you've already overcome. God knows the exact moment when you are ready and when the right person or opportunity will come into your life. Trust Him enough to wait. His timing is always perfect, even when it feels delayed. During this waiting period, focus on becoming the person you are called to be. Many people want a blessed relationship or a life filled with purpose, but they forget that preparation begins within. This is your season to grow. Pour into yourself the same love and attention you once poured into others. Develop your gifts, strengthen your faith, build a relationship with God so solid that no storm can shake it. When you are deeply rooted in Him, no external relationship can uproot you. Use this time to clarify your vision for your life. What are your dreams, your callings, your divine assignments? Write them down. Pray over them. Ask God for guidance and direction. Sometimes heartbreak clears the noise so you can finally hear His voice clearly. Without the distractions of a wrong relationship, you are free to rediscover what truly matters. Chosen one, you must also create strong spiritual boundaries. The next season of your life will require a level of discernment you've never had before. The enemy will not give up easily. He may try to send counterfeits, people who look like blessings but are actually distractions. By setting clear boundaries, you protect your heart and your future. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are gates that allow only what is good, healthy, and aligned with God's will to come in. One way to prepare is by learning to listen and obey quickly when God speaks. In the past, you might have ignored red flags or spiritual nudges because your emotions were in control. This time, make a commitment to act immediately when you sense His guidance. If something doesn't feel right, don't dismiss it. If God tells you to move, move. If He tells you to wait, wait. Quick obedience keeps you aligned with His perfect plan. As you prepare for what's ahead, surround yourself with the right people. Relationships are powerful, not just romantic ones. The people you spend time with influence your energy, your thoughts, and your actions. Choose friends who uplift you, challenge you to grow, and speak life into your dreams. If you remain connected to those who constantly bring negativity or doubt, they will hinder your progress. God is placing new people in your life, divine connections that will help you rise to the next level. Don't be surprised if this season feels lonely at times. It's normal. Growth often requires separation. While others are distracted by temporary pleasures, you are being set apart for something greater. Embrace this solitude as a gift. It is in the quiet moments that you will hear God most clearly. This is when he reveals his secrets and gives you wisdom that others cannot comprehend. Another part of preparation is practical action. Healing and faith are deeply spiritual, but they must also be lived out in real-world choices. Take care of your physical health. Pursue education or skills that align with your purpose. If you have dreams of starting a business, ministry, or creative project, begin laying the groundwork now. Preparation is not just about waiting passively. It's about actively building while trusting God for the outcome. When it comes to future relationships, prepare your heart to love from a place of wholeness. Many people enter new relationships still wounded from the past. This only creates cycles of pain. As a chosen one, you must break those cycles. Approach love with clarity and discernment. Know your worth so deeply that you never again settle for less than God's best. The right relationship will not require you to sacrifice your identity or compromise your faith. It will complement your purpose and bring peace to your soul. Be patient, chosen one. The person God has for you is also being prepared. They too are walking through lessons and growth so that when you meet, the connection will be pure and unbreakable. Trust that God is orchestrating every detail behind the scenes. As you move forward, practice gratitude daily. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you've lost to what you are gaining. Even on difficult days, thank God for the lessons, the growth, and the opportunities ahead. Gratitude opens the door for more blessings to flow into your life. When you express thankfulness, you are declaring to the universe and to the spiritual realm that you trust God completely. Finally, remember this truth. God never removes without replacing. If He took something from your life, it's because He is bringing something far greater. That could be a relationship, a career opportunity, a new community, or a spiritual awakening. But whatever it is, it will align perfectly with His plan for you. Chosen one, your future is not behind you. It is ahead, waiting for you to step boldly into it. Prepare yourself in every way, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. When the blessings come, you will be ready to receive them fully and steward them well. One day, you will look back at this season and understand why everything had to happen exactly as it did. You will see how the pain shaped you, how the preparation strengthened you, and how every step was ordered by God. Trust the process, stay faithful, and keep moving forward. The future God has for you is worth every moment of waiting, every tear you've cried, and every battle you've fought. And when it arrives, it will be more beautiful than anything you've ever imagined. The chosen one's identity and power. Chosen one, there is a truth you must never forget. You are set apart. You are not like everyone else. From the moment you were created, there was a divine purpose woven into your very being. God placed inside you gifts, strength, and vision that others cannot fully understand. This is why your journey has been different. This is why you've faced battles others never had to fight. And this is why certain people were never meant to stay in your life. Because your calling is too great for them to walk alongside you. The world often tries to define you by your past, your mistakes, or your losses. But your true identity is not rooted in what you've been through. It is rooted in who God says you are. You are chosen, loved, and appointed for a mission far greater than anything you can currently imagine. The pain you've endured was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you, to strip away everything false and reveal the warrior within. When you begin to truly understand who you are, everything changes. You stop chasing validation from people who cannot see your worth. You stop settling for relationships that drain you. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. Instead, you rise in boldness, fully embracing your role as a vessel for God's power and glory. But with great identity comes great responsibility. The enemy knows who you are, even when you forget. That's why he's fought you so hard. The heartbreaks, the betrayals, the losses, they were all strategic attacks meant to discourage you, to make you doubt yourself, and to keep you from stepping into your destiny. The fact that you are still here, still standing, is proof of your strength and the divine covering over your life. Chosen one, your power lies in your connection to God. When you stay rooted in Him through prayer, worship, and obedience, no weapon formed against you can prosper. Your faith becomes a shield. Your words carry authority. Your very presence shifts atmospheres. This is why you must guard your spirit carefully. Not everyone should have access to you. Your energy is sacred, your heart is valuable, and your mission is holy. As you move forward, embrace your role as a light bearer. Walk with confidence, knowing that every step you take is guided by divine wisdom. The relationships that ended were part of the pruning process. God removed what could not grow with you, so that you can rise freely and without hindrance. Declare this truth over your life. I am chosen. I am set apart. I am walking in my divine purpose. No person, no loss, no attack will stop me from fulfilling the destiny God has for me. When you understand your identity and step fully into your power, you no longer live in fear. You live in freedom. You live in alignment, and you become unstoppable. This is who you truly are, chosen one. A vessel of greatness, a warrior of light, and a living testimony of God's unfailing love.